Eleanor retired at 67 with $1.4 million. By 74, she had $1.8 million. She had not made a single extraordinary investment. She had not inherited anything. She had not gone back to work. She had not discovered some secret strategy that nobody else knew about. She had simply stopped buying 7 things, not because she couldn't afford them, because she had finally understood something about money that took her 4 decades of working to learn. The things that feel like rewards are almost always the things that quietly prevent you from keeping what you built. Eleanor is not unique. She is, in fact, representative of a pattern that appears consistently among retirees who grow their wealth after they stop working, a group that is smaller than most people assume and more deliberate than most people realize. In this video, I am going to show you the 7 things that wealthy retirees consistently stop buying. Not the obvious ones. Not the things you already know. The ones that feel reasonable, even virtuous, even generous, until you look at what they cost over a 10 or 15-year retirement. Some of these are going to be uncomfortable. One of them is going to feel wrong when I first say it. Stay with me through all 7, because the last one is the one that changes the most minds. Before we get to the list, I want to reframe something. When most people think about retirement spending, they think about big categories: housing, healthcare, travel, food. They try to budget these categories and make sure the math works. The retirees who run out of money rarely do so because the big categories were wrong. They run out because of the accumulation of smaller decisions, the ones that each felt reasonable in isolation, but that together created a pattern of slow, invisible wealth erosion. The retirees who grow their wealth after retirement are not necessarily better investors. They are not necessarily more disciplined in a general sense. What they share is a specific set of things they stopped buying, things that most people their age are still buying without thinking about it. Eleanor figured this out at 69, 2 years into retirement. She had noticed that her account balance, despite reasonable investment returns, was not growing the way she expected. She spent 3 months tracking every outflow. What she found was not a single large problem. It was 7 small ones, compounding quietly every month. Thing 1. Extended warranties and service contracts on everything. Walk into any appliance store, electronics retailer, or car dealership in America, and you will be offered an extended warranty before you reach the register. The pitch is always the same: peace of mind, protection. What if something goes wrong? The math behind extended warranties is publicly available and rarely discussed at the point of sale. Retailers and manufacturers make more profit on extended warranties than on the products themselves. The probability of a claim that exceeds the warranty cost is, for most product categories, less than 20%. Wealthy retirees stop buying extended warranties. Not because they are reckless, because they are self-insured. A retiree with $800,000 in investment accounts does not need a $180 warranty on a $600 appliance. They need the $180 to stay invested. Over a 15-year retirement, the cumulative cost of extended warranties on every appliance, every electronic device, every car, typically runs $4,000 to $8,000. That is not protection money. That is wealth erosion money. Eleanor canceled her home warranty plan at 69. It had been costing her $680 per year. She had filed one claim in 6 years for a $340 repair. The math was not close. Thing 2. Financial products sold by people who earn a commission to sell them. This one requires careful wording because it sounds like a conspiracy theory, and it isn't. There are honest, skilled financial professionals who earn commissions. There are also financial products, certain annuities, certain life insurance policies, certain actively managed funds that exist primarily because they generate significant revenue for the people who sell them. Wealthy retirees stop buying financial products they don't fully understand from people whose compensation depends on the sale. They move toward fee-only advisors, professionals who are paid a flat fee or a percentage of assets, not a commission on products sold. They choose low-cost index funds over actively managed funds that charge 1% or more annually. The difference between a 0.05% expense ratio and a 1.1% expense ratio on a $500,000 portfolio is $5,250 per year, every year. Growing. Over 15 years at average market returns, that difference compounds to approximately $127,000 in lost wealth, not from bad investments, but from fees that most people never see itemized on a statement. Eleanor discovered she had been paying 1.3% annually in a portfolio her advisor had built. She moved to a 3-fund index portfolio with a total expense ratio of 0.06%. The change took one afternoon. The projected impact over her remaining retirement, over $140,000. Thing 3. Upgrading things that already work. There is a version of retirement that looks like finally being able to enjoy the things you always wanted. The nicer car. The kitchen renovation. The master bathroom you always put off. You worked for 40 years. You deserve it. The retirees who grow their wealth distinguish between things that genuinely improve their daily quality of life and things that upgrade something that was already functioning perfectly well. A car that runs reliably and comfortably is not a problem to be solved. A kitchen that is functional and clean is not a problem to be solved. The $45,000 renovation of a working kitchen in a house that will eventually be sold or transferred to heirs is not an investment. It is a consumption decision dressed in the language of an investment. Most kitchen renovations return 60 to 70 cents on the dollar at resale. The other 30 to 40 cents simply disappears. Eleanor drove her 2019 sedan until it had 140,000 miles. Her neighbor, also retired with similar savings, bought a new $62,000 SUV at 68. At 74, Eleanor's account had grown. Her neighbor's had shrunk by more than the cost of the car, when opportunity cost was included. Thing 4. Paying full price for anything that has a discount structure. This one sounds trivial until you run the numbers. Wealthy retirees do not pay full price for things that have systematic discount structures: travel, prescriptions, entertainment, dining, professional services. Senior discounts exist at hundreds of thousands of businesses and are claimed by a minority of the people who qualify for them. Prescription discount programs can reduce drug costs by 40 to 80% for people not on Medicare Part D. Travel booked 60 to 90 days in advance costs, on average, 30% less than travel booked within 2 weeks. Eleanor calculated that in her first 2 years of retirement, she had left approximately $3,800 on the table in unclaimed discounts and unoptimized purchases, not through extravagance, but through the habit of paying the price on the tag without asking whether a better price existed. She began asking. The habit change cost her nothing and saved her an average of $1,900 per year. Over a 15-year retirement, $1,900 per year invested rather than spent, at average market returns, grows to approximately $42,000. From asking one question more often. We are halfway through the list, and the next 3 are the ones that produce the most pushback. Subscribe before we continue. We cover this level of detail every week. Before we continue, I am not a financial advisor, and everything on this channel is based on research, analysis, and stories like Eleanor's, not professional financial credentials. Individual circumstances vary significantly. Please consult a qualified financial advisor before making any changes to your retirement spending or investment strategy. Now, let's continue. Thing 5. Solving adult children's financial problems. This is the one that feels wrong when I say it. So let me say it carefully. Wealthy retirees do not stop loving their children. They do not stop being generous. They do not stop caring about their family's financial well-being. What they stop doing is using their retirement savings to repeatedly solve financial problems that their adult children are capable of solving themselves, or need to learn to solve themselves. The pattern appears with striking consistency in retirement financial data. A retiree with $900,000 at 67 who provides $15,000 to $25,000 per year in financial support to adult children, for down payments, for debt relief, for living expense supplements during difficult periods, often has less than $600,000 by 75. Not because of market performance, because of a giving pattern that felt manageable in each individual instance and was devastating in aggregate. Eleanor had 2 adult children. At 69, she established what she called a generosity budget, a fixed annual amount she would give freely, without conditions, without guilt, and without exceeding. Everything above that amount required the child to find another solution. It was one of the most difficult decisions she made in retirement. It was also, she says, one of the most important ones, not just financially, but for her relationships. Her children stopped coming to her with financial problems and started coming to her with their lives. Thing 6. Subscriptions they no longer notice. The subscription economy was designed around one psychological insight. People consistently underestimate how many subscriptions they have and overestimate how much they use them. A retiree who has been accumulating subscriptions since the early streaming era, music, video, news, cloud storage, software, meal kits, boxes, services, often has $300 to $500 per month in recurring charges that have become invisible through familiarity. Wealthy retirees conduct what amounts to a subscription audit every 12 months. They pull every recurring charge from the last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. They ask one question about each. Have I used this in the last 30 days? If not, it gets canceled. Not paused. Canceled. Eleanor's audit at 70 revealed $340 per month in subscriptions she had not consciously thought about in over a year. She canceled $280 worth. That $280 per month, redirected to her investment account, generates approximately $50,000 over a 10-year period at average market returns. The subscriptions she canceled included 3 streaming services she had not opened in 8 months, a software subscription for a computer she no longer owned, and a premium news subscription to a publication she was reading for free through her library's digital access. Thing 7. Buying time they already have. This is the last one. It is the most counterintuitive. And it is the one that Eleanor says changed her relationship with retirement more than any of the others. Throughout a working life, buying time makes sense. You pay for convenience because your time is genuinely scarce. You order delivery because you cannot afford the hour to cook. You pay for services because you are too exhausted on the weekend to do them yourself. The money buys back hours you do not have. In retirement, the premise changes. Time is, for most healthy retirees, abundant. The scarcity is gone. Wealthy retirees stop buying time they already have. They stop paying for delivery when they have the afternoon to shop. They stop paying for services they are physically capable of performing and might actually enjoy. They stop outsourcing the parts of life that, during their working years, felt like burdens, and discover that some of those things, without the context of exhaustion and schedule pressure, are actually pleasant. Eleanor started cooking again at 70, not because she had to, because she had time, and because it turned out she enjoyed it in a way she had forgotten was possible. She started walking to nearby errands instead of driving. She started doing her own gardening instead of paying the service she had used for 12 years. The financial impact was secondary. The primary change was that she stopped experiencing retirement as a continuation of the working life habit of buying her way out of things and started experiencing it as something she had earned the right to actually live. Here is what Eleanor's 7 changes actually meant in numbers. Extended warranties eliminated, $680 per year. Financial product fees reduced, $6,500 per year in avoided drag. Upgrade spending deferred, $0 in unnecessary renovations across 6 years. Discount optimization, $1,900 per year. Generosity budget established, $12,000 contained rather than $22,000 variable. Subscription audit, $3,360 per year redirected. Convenience spending reduced, $2,400 per year. Total annual redirection, approximately $14,940. Over 7 years, invested at average market returns, approximately $138,000. That is not the $400,000 increase in Eleanor's account. Investment returns contributed the majority, but it is the part she controlled, the part that did not depend on market conditions, on interest rates, on political decisions, or on luck. Eleanor did not retire with more money than her neighbors. She retired with approximately the same amount. The difference, 7 years later, is not what she bought. It is what she stopped buying. Here is what I want you to do this week. Pull your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Go line by line. Mark every recurring charge. Ask the same question Eleanor asked. Have I consciously chosen this in the last 30 days? Or is it just still happening? Cancel anything that fails that test. Then look at the last 3 significant purchases you made. For each one, ask, did this replace something that was broken, or did it upgrade something that was working? The answer will tell you more about your retirement spending pattern than any budget category ever will. Finally, if you have adult children you regularly help financially, write down the total for last year, not to judge it, just to see it as a number rather than a series of individual decisions. Numbers have a clarity that individual decisions do not. Tell me in the comments, which of these 7 surprised you most? And which one are you most likely to actually change? I want to know. I read every single comment. Subscribe. Because next week, we are covering what retirement actually looks like with a $2 million portfolio, month by month, year by year, with the real numbers that most financial channels are too cautious to show you. You will not want to miss it.